Welcome to Gumball Love. I'm Melissa Ledger, professional relationship coach, creator of Gumball Love and the Back to You Academy. If you're ready to stop the cycle of toxic men, get through the breakup once and for all, and finally get back to you, you are in the right place. This journey is about healing your heart, and you are encouraged to take the pace that is just right for you. In the process, you will build a foundation of confidence and strength that will make you unshakable, I promise. So get ready to level up your mindset and your lifestyle as you awaken the seeds of greatness just waiting to burst into full bloom. Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Love. I'm your host, Melissa Ledger. All right, you guys, today wraps up the final Gumball Love Flavors series. So if you're brand new to this concept, lots of new people joining and asking questions. I'm getting your DMs and Instagram. The most common DMs I get is, here's a screenshot of a text message. What is actually going on? What is he saying? What does this mean? Does this mean something? Is he actually interested in me? And that's where I want to really help you so that this becomes easier and easier. And so if you remember nothing else and you've never heard of Gumball Love, I want you to just ask yourself, is he looking for connection or is he looking for attention? Am I soothing him or am I stimulating him in some way? And as you go back, and if you haven't listened to any of the previous episodes, listen to those episodes and go through, okay, is this a guy that always starts with sex? Is this a guy that always is creating drama? Do I feel like I have to entertain him all the time? Do I feel like he's always kind of talking about other girls and I'm competing with other women, whether they're in the past or he makes me feel like I have to compete with the waitress? He's talking with her, flirting with her. There's just always an element of other women around where you feel like you're not the number one girl in his life. Do you feel like he always is kind of sad and you're feeling sorry for him? Do you feel like you have to chase him all the time? Do you feel like you have to make everything all about him? Just the conversation, you're talking about X, Y, Z, and then all of a sudden it's about him again. So I'm going through the flavors in rapid fire of it. Is it sex? Is it drama? Is it I have to entertain him? Red, orange, yellow, green. Does he want me to feel jealous? Green with envy. I tried to make the colors correlate as much as possible. Blue is, does he always have the blues? Is he just feeling sorry for himself all the time and he's down and out and he doesn't have any money or he doesn't have, any confidence and he's just woe is me all the time and everything's bad and my family is this and I'm just a sad guy, and he needs you to constantly pep him up because he doesn't have that enthusiasm. One thing I've noticed with the love of my life, who I've been so fortunate to be connected with in this whole past year, is there's always an enthusiasm. There's always a happiness. We're never fixing problems all the time. We're not feeling like we just can enjoy time together. And I want you to remember that you should just be able to have fun. 99.9% of the time, we're just having fun, giving each other shiz, and we're just like goofing around. I mean, it's just easy. And it's easy because we both know who we are as individuals. And I'm not trying to be his therapist or his mother, and he's not trying to be my dad or my therapist. We're both able to enjoy each other because we're comfortable in our own skin. And so the Gumball guy is not comfortable in his own skin. He's always doubting himself. He's always feeling this sense of I'm not enough, which then makes him need to be soothed or stimulated all the time. So if you feel like you have to feel sorry for him or you feel like you need to chase him, guys that are creating that chase all the time, all that advice out there gets really confusing because there's a ton of content about creating that chase and making him feel like either he's being chased or you're trying to make it feel like that he's chasing you. A lot of people are telling us to play that game all the time because games create intensity, but intensity is not intimacy. Intimacy, not sex. And I hate that word is connected with sex because intimacy is where you feel, intimate, right? Like people will say, oh, this has a really intimate environment in a restaurant because there's a feeling of closeness. There's a feeling of privacy, right? And so within intimacy, you're able to really just relax and be yourself. And at the foundation of intimacy is friendship. If you have, I want you to think of your best friend right now, or somebody you really like, family member, cousins, coworkers. You're not playing games with them. If you play games with somebody you call your friend, you're not really their friend. So we cannot carry this into a romantic relationship. You will not play games with your significant other. You want a nice guy? You want the legit dude that's going to show up and be there for you and just live life with you? You can't play games with him because he's not going to be a game player. He's not going to have time for that. And so I want you to really think about, am I playing games? Am I playing the chase me game, whether I'm chasing him or he's chasing me? Am I cryptically trying to text things that create that? Or a whole different way of thinking of it is more so what I realized over the past couple of years is that it's really not about creating a chase. It's about having a life where you don't have time to completely focus and fixate on the guy, where you have things going on to the point where you actually aren't always available. So people say, don't be so readily available. Make your life and fill it up so much so that you actually won't be available. And that's when you're going to be fulfilled enough to where you're not going to be so dependent on what he's going to say next or what he's going to do next. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So, all right. So that is the kind of summary. I hope I hit all of the flavors. I just want you to kind of be thinking about those colors or the flavors as you go through this series. The last one is the pink gumball is It's All About Me. I used to call this Adore Me, where you just feel like everything comes back to him. So in general, yes, that is the theme of all of the gumballs, but someone texted me this and I actually thought, you know what? She goes, what about the kind of gumball where everything has to be all about him? And I started thinking about the Adore Me pink gumball where you felt like you have to compliment him all the time and pep him up. And so I thought, you know what? She's right. This needs to be It's All About Me. So the pink one is It's All About Me. Every conversation, every topic, it always comes back to him. So what could be left? What is the last gumball? Well, you know it by the title, and it is the white gumball. And the white gumball is Prove Yourself to Me. And the Prove Yourself to Me, I chose Prove Yourself because the white gumball, I thought it kind of makes me think of a clinical environment where a guy's sitting there in a white coat with glasses kind of pushed down the edge of his nose. And he's sort of, that skeptical, critical kind of guy. That's my best correlation to the white gumball of why it would be white. But I hope that helps you. That helps trigger a memory I'm trying to help you associate. So I want you to think of that clinical doctor type feeling of him sitting there with some kind of a clipboard like, I don't really know about you. I don't know. I'm very skeptical because I've had trust issues in the past. And so I don't know why it's becoming British, but, he's just he likes you and he likes hanging out with you. But, he's just had a lot of terrible things happen to him. And he's the only guy in the world that's had relationship issues. Oh, goodness. Have you had things go wrong for you in the past? And now you're going to treat everyone as if they owe you an explanation. It's like that guy, that guy is like, oh, really? So you've had people that you haven't been able to trust in the past. That is so unusual. I can see why you feel like you need to sit in your chair with your glasses and your clipboard and be very skeptical of my actions so that I work my ass off to prove to you that I'm worthy to be your girlfriend. Have you dated this guy? After I recorded this podcast, actually I recorded this once and then it did not record sound, which was super amazing. To realize I did not even see that it was one line that was like a flat line through the whole podcast. So sent it to my editor thinking it was done and it was not. But I was such in a crabby mood after doing this because I think this gumball just pisses me off more than any of them because I just look at it now like, who do you think you are, dude? That some chick is supposed to prove herself to you because you've been hurt in the past? Welcome to the club, buddy. Like, who hasn't been hurt in the past, right? And so I sat down with my boyfriend. He's like, dude, you're so grumpy. I'm like, I know. I'm just so annoyed. Like, oh, I can't. He's like, you just can't believe you dealt with these kinds of guys in the past. I'm like, yeah, it's just like, I'm so irritated. Even the idea that I even gave 1 ounce of energy to some guy that was sitting there skeptical of, we know what got me is he was skeptical, or more than one, but I'm thinking of one in particular, skeptical of my motives. And he was the most selfish guy I'd ever dated. And I've probably told this story too many times, too many podcasts, but he would accuse me of being selfish. And I remember at the time I was volunteering for 2 organizations. I was basically going above and beyond what any probably normal girlfriend would do, but I loved his children. He had 2 children. It was just like, I did everything I could possibly think of. And I remember saying to him, out of a point of exhaustion, I said, if you think I'm selfish, because he would tell me, I've had women do certain things in the past, and when you do this, it kind of reminds me of her. And then I would be like, oh no, I don't want to do that. No, that's not what I mean. That's not my intention. Here's who I am. And then I would get out my little PowerPoint and sell Melissa to him. And I would explain, no, this is where my heart is. This is where I'm coming from. And I had no idea. And I couldn't convince him. And so in pure exhaustion, I just said, if you feel like I am selfish, this is me giving 110%. I can't do any more than I'm doing right now. Like, this is me giving 110%. So if that still is selfish to you, I don't know what to do. And he goes, well, I love you even in spite of that. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I mean, honestly, like, I think back to that moment, and I that was the moment though that I just thought, oh my God, it's never going to be enough for this guy. And I remember telling my therapist, and he said, no matter what you bring to this guy, you could bring him a bushel of the most beautiful apples. He'd be like, oh, there's one with a bruise on it. He's always going to find something wrong. And so this particular, like, how is this a gumball? Like, what's the payoff for him? The payoff is when we work to prove ourselves. We start doing those things to show, this is why I'm great. This is why you should love me. This is why I'm enough. Let me prove to you why I'm enough. Instead of knowing you're enough and knowing what you're giving is enough, and then relaxing into that. And if that isn't enough for him, he is not the right guy for you. That would be the difference. If I could go back in time, I would say, oh, okay, well, I guess then I'm not the right person for you. So I should probably go. I mean, it would be that simple. But of course, it's like, it would be that simple if with hindsight, right? But it's not that simple when you are in the relationship, you have feelings, you're already in love, you're already invested, you've already put all this work into it. And then when you start to see the breakdown, and actually the red flags were there from the very beginning, and I ignored all of them. So then you get to that point where you realize, okay, now it's breaking down. Now I'm with somebody that really does not see me and love me for who I am. Because if you cannot just relax and be yourself fully, then they are not the right person for you. It's really kind of, I was just saying this to a friend of mine. It's so crazy how everything comes back to just being yourself, finding the right job, being comfortable around friends. It really is about learning who you are and getting comfortable with that and letting go of the people that don't accept you for who you are. It's a lifelong journey. Actually, I shouldn't say it's a lifelong journey. It's a journey to get to that point of comfort, but man, is it comfortable. I'm telling you. That's why I say just keep focused on investing in yourself. I'm not going to say do the work on yourself. I hate that term now. Like, just keep working on yourself. keep investing in yourself. Keep looking at what is it that I want to be? What do I want my life to look like? What would make my dreams come true? Like what are those things that you're like, this is me making my dreams come true? And I want you to focus on that instead of thinking that finding some guy and thinking that fairy tale is out there, then that's going to be the thing that makes you happy. That isn't the thing that's going to make you happy. I can tell you, I am so happy in my current relationship because I was already happy when we met. When we started our relationship, I was already happy with who I was. I was already fulfilling my dreams. I was already doing what I love to do. And so it was just this huge addition. It is a huge impact on your life when it's the right person. It's like they complement everything you already are, if that makes sense. And there is a major contribution, but what I'm saying is that if you lean on that person to try to be your happiness and for them to manufacture happiness for you, it's not going to work. You have to have, like if you have depression or anxiety, or you have issues with your family, or you're dealing with deep things, you cannot lean on your partner to help you feel fulfilled or resolve those things. That is not what you can rely on your partner for. And we've talked about that in previous episodes, but that's what I'm trying to help you understand, is that we want to look at our whole life and all the areas, whether it's finance, whether it's work, whether it's your home, how you feel in your body, your physical health, like those core things are our responsibility. I can't rely on my partner to say, hey, I really want to eat better and stay in shape and feel healthy and vibrant. And he can't do that for me. I have to do that for me. But when I do, I'm so much happier in our relationship because I'm not tired. I'm not unhealthy. I'm putting the right things into my body, taking vitamins, going to the gym, doing all the things that I learned to do when I was single, so that now we have this great contribution and a constant give and take with each other. So let's go back to wrap up this final part of prove yourself to me, the white gumball. So I want to make sure that we wrap this up because all of this sort of intertwines, but I just want to make sure I don't get too sidetracked into all these other topics, because you know how I am and I can just go forever. So, but I do want to wrap up this whole thing as well, so you kind of have a nice, that you kind of have this in a nice bundle in this final episode. So I want you to think of each time you're prompted for the white gumball. Sounds like the sugar craving sounds like this. My ex did that. The gumball is, well, I don't want to be like your ex. I mean, why does that remind you of your ex? Or what do you mean? I mean, I don't feel like I'm like your ex, and I don't want to make you that kind of conversation. Now he gets to sit back and allow you to, just by him saying, well, my ex used to do that. Now you were working to prove yourself. And so he gets a dopamine hit by you trying so hard to prove yourself to him. And I want you to really pay attention. Sometimes we're giving the gumball, and when you become aware of this concept, you can kind of feel it as you're doing it. You're like, oh my God. And you're saying the words, and you're still giving the gumballs. And you're like, I am totally giving him the gumball right now. So when you're doing that, do not beat yourself up. Just listen to what you're saying and then watch his reaction. So become an observer even within the actions. If you become aware of it, that's huge right there. And I want you to be patient with yourself in the process. Just because you realize you're dealing with a gumball guy does not mean, oh man, I should leave him today. So many people book sessions with me and they're like, I know, Melissa, this is so bad. I should be gone by now. And I'm always like, why should you be gone right now? There is no part of me that thinks, oh, once you realize he's a gumball guy, you just need to bail. It is not that simple. And so please do not make this so hard on you. Like, oh no, he's a gumball guy. Why didn't I see it? I'm such an idiot. This happens very subtly. Sometimes a gumball guy can creep up on you. And if it happens, it happens. And there's nothing we can do about it if we don't see the signs. But if we start to see the signs, it's not an immediate thing where, oh yeah, my heart has no feelings anymore. I'm just going to cut it off and I'm able to be a robot and move forward. It's going to take some listening and observing and then watching the pattern and being like, there it is. Now I see it. I see him doing the thing that makes me have the response that then makes him feel all high and mighty. So this guy that likes this white gumball kind of gets off, for lack of a better term, on that girl who is, no, I like you. I don't want to be like her. Let me show you how I'm not like her. I've done this many times. And then they're like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, I just can't deal with that kind of stuff if you're going to be like that. I just, I can't be with somebody else like her again. And then how do you feel after that? You feel sad. You feel like you're not enough. Or now you're paranoid. And when you start to feel paranoid and then you question, now I don't know what to say. I feel like if I say this, then he's going to get irritated. And so then now I don't know how to just be myself right now. And it's in those very moments where you start to question and filter your words, and then you hesitate, or then you sit in the car and you're like, I don't know what to say right now. Then you get quiet. It's the beginning of not being yourself. This is how we lose ourselves in a guy, because he has a craving for you to prove yourself. And why does he have that craving? This one's a little bit more complicated. He has that craving because deep down, he thinks you're going to leave him. So it's a slow breaking down process of your confidence in yourself each time you prove yourself to him. So as he listens to your sales pitch, it soothes his nerves and his anxiety that you will leave him. So if you're proving yourself, you're selling yourself, you're working so hard to show him that you are going to be the most amazing girlfriend and that you are not like his ex, that's exactly what helps him be soothed. So remember, the gumball soothes or it stimulates. So let's go on to the next one. I have trust issues. So trust issues, again, it's an anxiety. I feel like you're going to leave me. I feel like you're going to cheat on me. So prove to me that you're not. So then what do you have to do? I'll have to give him access to my phone or my computer. He has to know where I am all the time because I'm proving that I'm not doing anything dishonest. So now you don't have control over your own life. You don't have freedom. So there's where intimacy starts to disappear as well. We have to just trust our partners are doing what they say they're going to do. And until they prove us otherwise or show us otherwise, then we can't worry about it. And so, but we can't make them check in and monitor them and record their behavior. You just have to be able to let it go. And you actually want to feel like you don't even have to do any of that. You want to have that feeling of, I completely trust them. And so I'm never going to question what they're doing because I know and I believe that they are who they say they are. So I want you to think about this from many angles. Am I losing myself? Do I feel comfortable in my own skin? Can I speak my mind? Or do I feel like I'm always thinking about my words? Such a random example, but my boyfriend and I realized how much we say the word like. And so one day we were talking on the phone and it was like. And then finally we just decided, okay, we're no longer going to monitor ourselves because we say it so much that, he thought I was saying it a lot. And then he realized he was saying it a lot. And then finally we're like, okay, we give up. We're not going to do it. But trying to not say and really listening to yourself was too much work. And so that's what it feels like when you're with a gumball guy and he is always critical and you feel like you have to prove yourself all the time. You suddenly lose that freedom to say things that you like because it's always questioned. Why do you like that kind of music? Why do you talk to her so much? Why do you wear that? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? How come you said this? And you're explaining yourself all the time. And each time you justify it to him, it gives him a position of power. Now she feels like she has to explain herself. Now she feels like she has to come to me for approval. So prove yourself. So all the people pleasers in the house, raise your hand. Like, this is where the people pleaser girl, and I know you're probably one of them, because if you and I are connecting, you're listening to this podcast, this is where we can tend to fall for this very easily. And so if you have a partner who really loves you, like I've seen my partner who knows I'm a people pleaser, he will make sure that he doesn't express something he really wants until he thinks that I'm going to be on board as well. If it's a decision we need to make together, he's like, I'll say, why did you do that? And he goes, because I know somebody is a people pleaser. And so he'll do things to protect me from that so that I authentically will choose it, because sometimes I can be still struggling with people pleasing and just, I'm very accommodating, right? You're probably the same way. A lot of us struggle with this if we've had gumball guys in our lives because we want people to be happy. You're probably a great hostess. And so all of those things come with the territory. But when someone really loves you, they're not going to just allow you to be the people pleaser. They're going to make sure, you see how when he can see that in me, then he'll make sure that this is really, he's like, I want to make sure she really wants this and not, I want to make sure she doesn't want it because I want it. And, when you really are in love and somebody, you have this true commitment, friendship, then there is such a desire to make each other happy too. Like, and there's so many things in relationships where you're like, I could really care less about that. And so if he's pumped about it, then yeah, it makes me excited about it too, if I really don't care. But if it's something really important, then, he makes sure that he's not pushing me in an area where he knows that I might give in to being the people pleaser. So I'm using that example so you can just see the difference in someone taking advantage of the fact that is something you do versus someone that would protect you and say, I know you might lean toward what I want to do, so I'm going to make sure this is what you really want. Okay, so I want you to think about that as the example of the opposite. I kind of wish I would have done this all throughout, but I don't want these podcasts to get too overwhelming. I want you to be able to go into each flavor and go, okay, is this happening? Is he doing this? Is he saying things like, the next one on my list is, I'm just not used to being with someone like you. I remember hearing that thinking, what does that mean? And I challenge you to ask them, what does that mean? I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. Make these guys say what they mean. If there's one thing I have learned is that I spent so much time being afraid that I would scare one of these guys away. And actually, that's kind of what you would want to do, because if you could scare him away by just asking him to clarify something or calling him out on his BS, if that scares him away, that's what you want to do. Because if someone calls me out on my BS, which my significant other has done to me too, it's like, I've done things where it's like, no, you don't really mean that, or you're not really being completely forthcoming. And then I'll be like, yeah, okay, you're right. I'm not. Like, I can take it. I can say, okay, yeah, I guess I was holding that back. We're human, right? We're going to mess up. And that's what I want you to have the confidence to start having those types of conversations, to start calling these guys out, not to be afraid. And it does not mean that you start saying things like, are you doubting me? Are you asking me to prove myself? I don't want you to go all the way there, because then they're going to give you even weirder responses. And I will say too, that if you start calling a guy out and accusing him of doing this sort of premeditated, he's trying to get control of you or do it, like, I don't want you to diagnose him on the spot, but I want you to feel confident to make him clarify, so that you don't become defensive immediately, that you don't start to think that you have to get into the argument. But I more so want you to watch him as you pull more out. Like, okay, my ex did that, or I have trust issues. You could say something like, okay, yeah, I think a lot of people do have trust issues, because if we're single or we're still dating, that means that every relationship prior to this one has not worked out for whatever reason. And usually it comes down to something happened. Somebody cheated, somebody did something dishonest, or it didn't, there are lots of times this has happened. So he's not the first guy to have trust issues, right? Or have come off of a bad relationship. So you could say something like, what does that mean? What do you want me to do when you say that? I'm just not sure how I can respond to that. And watch him sit there and go, because he's not used to being challenged there. Well, what does he say? And then I want you to then you sit back with your white coat and your clipboard and your glasses pushed down to the end of your nose. Yeah, Gumball guy, what do you want me to do? How am I supposed to respond to that? You have trust issues? Yeah, so do I. But, everyone does. So at the end of the day, though, we can have all the trust issues in the world. But if we choose to be in a relationship with someone, we choose to take the risk. And when we take the risk, we have to realize, yep, I could get cheated on. This person could die. They could get hit by a car. They could get cancer. Like, anything could happen in this relationship. I don't know. But I'm willing to roll the dice. I'm willing to go for it, because at this point, I don't see anything else. And so, but if before we say we're going to roll the dice, if before we say we're going to take the risk, we stand there and we look at the cards that we haven't turned over, and we judge and we guess and we try to contemplate, we're not really playing the game. We're not really all in. We're sitting there on the sidelines. And so that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to be on the sidelines and also try to be in the game. And you can't be in both. And so you could say that. You could say, yeah, everybody has trust issues, but you have to ask yourself, are you willing to be in the game? Or are you going to stay on the sidelines and try to, predict what happens? People bet on the game, right? They bet on the game. I think this person or this team's going to win. I think that team's going to win. But until the game is played and we have the results, nobody knows. So we can be skeptical. These guys, all the talk radio, everybody analyzes it. And I think this player and that player, and he's got this injury and blah, blah, blah. And you know what? At the end of the day, usually most people are wrong, right? A lot of people think things are going to happen and they don't. And so this prove yourself, Gumball, this high that he gets from all of the speculation and all of the you proving yourself and you jumping through the hoops. So if you were to think of this as prove yourself to me, it's hoops to jump through, to then be at the level of satisfaction where he says, okay, now I guess I'll date you. But he's never really becoming vulnerable. He's always staying on that sideline, watching you run up and down the court by yourself. You're shooting the baskets, you're dribbling, but you don't have anybody to pass the ball to, because he's still over there with his clipboard in the bleachers, watching every move you're making, doesn't really like your layup style. Maybe if you could fix that, then he'd come out there. So you're always trying to convince him, no, come out here and play the game with me. It's okay. I'm good. I'm fun. I'm exciting. I'm loving. I'm going to treat you good. You're going to be okay. You're going to be safe with me. And every time we try to convince them, we lose a part of ourselves. Because as you're trying to, come on, come into the game, come into the water's fine. I have 1,000 metaphors for this. If you ever try to get a scared little kid to jump off of a dock into the water, and you can tell them about the water, you can tell them that it's fine, you can tell them they're not going to get hurt, but until they jump in, they don't know. One of my little cousins, oh my God, he was like, no, I don't want to. And then, his mom and dad, thank God, my cousin and her husband, and they were like, no, you're doing it. You're jumping in. And he was crying and he was just, oh my God, I can't. And finally, somebody must have pushed him in, and then he cried, but then he realized, oh, wait a minute. That was kind of fun. And then guess who was jumping off the dock all day long after that because they realized it was fun, right? And so this is what we hope is going to happen with this guy. Come on, just do it. He's got to let go and take the risk. We become vulnerable when we take the risk, right? Because then we admit this person can hurt me. If they leave, they cheat, they lie, I'm screwed. I'm going to go through the pain and the heartache, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to stay over here and be skeptical and make them prove themselves to me over and over and over again. But in that proof and that constant attention that you get, that's the dopamine rush. Okay, yes, you've reassured me. And girl, we can get in this habit too. You can be dating a guy and he is a good guy and you're like, but do you really love me? Do you really love me? Do you really love me? And he's said it, he's shown you, he's done all of the things, but then you're still asking him to tell you again. We can't do this to people. We have to be like, hey, I trust you. You're showing up every day. You're saying the words, your words are backed up by action, and that has to be enough. We cannot ask people, give me an extra dopamine hit because I don't trust myself to make this decision. This is what it's really about. Do you trust yourself enough to say, yep, I'm jumping in? So a few more things. I'm just looking at my list. Oh, he lists the qualities of things he wants you to live up to. Have you ever had a guy do this? I just want a girl who can cook or clean or doesn't wear too much makeup or doesn't wear high-heeled shoes. I've heard it all. Why do you wear so much makeup? You know what my boyfriend just said to me? He's like, I love that when you wear makeup, it's just like, it doesn't look like, he goes, you just look great either way, but I just like the way you wear your makeup. And I was just like, wow, almost a year in, but it's like, still I just sit there and think, it's so, like when you're with the right person for you and you think, wow, how many critical things, how many times have I been criticized about lip gloss, eyeliner, lashes too long, whatever. It was just nitpicky stuff. And it wasn't that they didn't like it. It was just that when I would get ready, you know how it is, you get ready and then you look good and they don't like it because it makes them feel like other guys are going to look at you. Guess what? They are. But you need a guy who can handle, yeah, that's my girl. You can look at her, but she's mine. Your guy that's confident and secure in himself, he's going to know that. So he's not going to care how good you look. He's just going to tell you you're hot. And that's it. It can be that simple. But these guys that are threatened by it, then all of a sudden they make these lists. And I remember a Bachelor. Do you guys remember when Emily was the Bachelorette? Pause for Bachelor fans. And I think it was Josh. I think it was the Josh that ended up dating Andy. Was it Andy? Oh God, what was her name? Anyway, I know the guy's name was Josh, and he made it to like the finals with Emily. And you don't even have to be a Bachelor fan to know what I'm talking about. But he thought she was so amazing. And he showed her a list of all the qualities he wanted in a woman and how she met all of those qualities. But these were all the things that I wanted. And she eliminated him when she saw the list because she was like, oh my God. And he was a total gumball guy. It was just right on. Like, here's the list of things I need in my woman. These are the things I need you to do. And she could see the controlling, manipulative. If you don't do these things and you don't live up to these standards, then I can't be with you. And when you grow and evolve and love yourself more, you realize, I need you to just love me for who I am and not make a list. Unless that list is customized to that woman and she is all of those things and that's why he loves her. But that wasn't it. This was the list of what he wants in a woman prior to her. And I can't remember exactly how he read it to her, but it was just like, she was like, oh my God. But this is what these guys do. They have this idealized view of what the relationship is supposed to be like because they don't really understand what a relationship is, what love is, what it's actually supposed to mean. And so I don't want you to get caught up in thinking you have to provide all these gumballs and prove yourself and keep giving him that dopamine hit, because each time you prove yourself, you give him more control. Each time you think you have to, you give him control. And every time you give him control, you lose control over yourself. You lose your identity. And so that's why the recovery process from a gumball guy is so hard, because we have to get ourselves back. This is why I called my academy the Back to You Academy, because we have to get back to ourselves and we have to get back to who we are. And sometimes we have to even figure out who that is, because we've been spending so much time thinking about what other guys want and becoming that we don't even know who we are anymore. And that's okay. If you feel like you are at that point and you feel like there is no way out, there is a way out. There is a way. I did it. I can tell you, I did it. And then I would lose myself again because I would think I was with a guy that wasn't a gumball. And then I ended up being a gumball guy again. It was like, oh man, here we go again. And so, but each time it happened, it was not as bad of a gumball guy as before. Now look, I didn't have me in a podcast. I didn't have this concept. So I was just kind of going blind, right? I didn't really know what I was doing, so to speak. But now as I look back, I was getting more confident in myself. I was feeling more secure. And just because you're feeling more secure doesn't mean that you're going to find the guy that's not a gumball guy right away. Sometimes you go through the process. Many of my girls that are my academy grads, some have found guys and they are happy because they went through the process. Others had more of a journey. They had other things that they needed to. For me, it was a few years, which could sound daunting. I don't know what it is for you, but I will tell you, now being with my boyfriend today, I look back and go, man, I needed that time. Not to be enough for him, but it's to be comfortable in my own skin enough so I can just enjoy the relationship and enjoy myself. I think I realize how many times I'm able to laugh about myself because I know that when we're just joking around, the old me was too sensitive and I took it personally when I didn't need to. When nobody was intending it at all other than in fun. And a lot of times I was so insecure I couldn't even handle things just in fun. And now I just think so many times when I'm laughing, I'm so glad I can laugh like this and just enjoy it and truly blow this off, because there is no ill intent behind it. We are just goofing around. And then I'm able to play back the same way and he's able to enjoy himself and laugh at himself. So we do dumb things, we say dumb things, and if we can laugh at ourselves and enjoy it, and we know we're with somebody that really loves us and it has no intention of hurting us whatsoever, I'm able to enjoy that now because I did that work. And it's a long story, too much to go into, but the point is to, this is going to sound weird, but stay with yourself. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up in the journey. Try not to be discouraged. There's one of my favorite scriptures is, do not grow weary in well-doing, for you shall reap in due season if you faint not. Don't faint, because you will reap what is yours in due season. And so it may not be the season of your girlfriend. Sometimes people find love before you. Maybe everyone finds love for you. Look, happened for me. Everyone in my family got married. Even cousins that, I was in my first job, my first corporate job, and I remember when they were born, and one of them got married before me. It's like, I think God, I would have never thought she would be married before me, as I remember when she was 3 and she got to chew gum for the first time. It's like, thank God I didn't know when I was going to meet my significant other, because I didn't understand why my journey was happening the way it was happening. And so for you, you could be 3 months away. You could be 3 years away. You could be a year. I don't know. But whatever it is, I want you to just think about the one thing. Sometimes I say this a lot in coaching. What's the one thing you need to be doing and you're not? And that one thing is usually, it's not the thing you're going to do and then you're going to meet the guy. Because I don't think we're designed to, our lives are not designed to just be with one person. But usually that thing is leading you to knowing yourself. And I'm probably I'll post this at some point, but I think this might be a line that I'll use for, moving forward. If you're not with the right person, it's because you don't know yourself yet. Something along those lines. So if you don't know who you are yet, and if you don't know who you are, you don't love who you are. And if you don't love who you are, you're not going to be able to love someone else and receive love like you need to be able to for it to last forever. So the thing that you're not doing that you need to be doing is a pathway to the place that you are going to feel, I want to say fulfilled, and it will be fulfillment, but I think that sometimes we're on this track of trying to have a perfect life instead of having the life that was meant for us. So the perfect life, quote unquote, is what it appears on the outside. But instead, what if you just customize it to exactly what you know in your heart and your spirit, what you should be doing? And sometimes that's a bold move you have to make. Sometimes it's a big one. For me, I got to a point where it was time to leave Nebraska and go to New York and do that. So I did it for almost 7 years. Then there was a point where I had to move out of New York, and that's a whole nother story. But those years in New York were what I needed to do. They were critical for my growth, from developing Gumball Love to ballroom dancing to what I was doing in my corporate America life. Just living the lifestyle, meeting the people, it was completely transformational. But it did come down to a decision. You have to move to New York City. And at the time, I couldn't really afford it, but I knew in my heart I needed to go. I knew it. And I knew that God would provide a way when I got there, and He did. I don't know how. I look back and think, how the heck did I do that? It was God, 100%. And so to conclude this, I'm going to tell you from my heart, I could not do this with God. And for me, God is Jesus. And so that is the way for me. And I don't know what the way is for you. I'm not trying to preach to you, but I think I would be doing this a disservice if I didn't tell you that I believe God is behind, for sure, meeting my significant other, and I'm able to rely on God, not my significant other, because it's God that created both of us and brought our paths together. And so that is truly the foundation that's underneath me and underneath my ability to show up here and deliver this content on a weekly basis, really on a daily basis. You only hear it on a weekly. But every single day I'm thinking about this and doing coaching sessions and working with clients and responding to your messages, always thinking about you. But this whole concept, I believe, came from God. And so I say that to you because I believe you were created by God. I believe that each part of your DNA is so, as the Bible says, so perfectly and wonderfully made in your mother's womb. Regardless if your mom was the greatest mom on earth, or if she was a hot mess, or she was the worst mom ever, for whatever reason, you were supposed to be born through her and your dad. Even if your dad is a hot mess, same thing. Like, our parents are our parents, but they were our parents for a reason, because you are supposed to be here. You have a purpose and a mission. And if your heart's desire is to be with a man, then there is someone here on planet Earth for you. I started thinking about that. Like, if I'm thinking about meeting someone and God hasn't someone in mind for me, then that person is walking around on planet Earth right now. And then I started thinking about it more, like, wow, it's kind of he's actually breathing, thinking, writing, sending emails. I didn't know what he was doing. And then I started to pray for him. And I probably prayed for about a year. And then he came into my life. So I'm sharing that with you because I want to wrap up this series to know, yes, we're looking for the signs. Yes, we want to be aware. Yes, we want to know, and hey, you know what? This guy is expecting me to just give him gumballs, and I deserve to have someone that's showing up and contributing to my life, that's interested in me, that isn't making me do extra things just to give him a dopamine hit so he can feel comforted, soothed, stimulated. Instead, you deserve somebody who's going to love you and see you for who you are, that can love you for the heart, that they can see your mind, they see your heart, they know who you are. And that's what they're in love with. And they aren't questioning you, they're not comparing you with anyone else, they're not making you compete with anyone else, and they're not making you do all these things just so they can be soothed or stimulated. So go back through those flavors, think about it. Sex, drama, entertainment, competition, pity, the chase, prove yourself, make it all about him. If those are the common threads, then that is his love language, gumball love, the love of attention. That's what he's really seeking, and he's not able to see you if all he continues to try to get is that dopamine, that high, that rush, that stimulant, that comfort, that soothing. It's a drug, and it is an addiction. And we'll talk more about that, but I want you to think about this is an addiction. And for some people, they will never recover. They have to be aware that they're doing this, and they have to want to change, and they have to be able to put this in action. So think about a drug or an alcohol addict. They have to realize they have a problem. They have to get help, and then they have to do what it takes every single day to be accountable. If they don't do that, they're never going to overcome it. And people overcome addiction all the time because they go through those steps. Look at the 12-step program for AA. You can see what has to happen for these guys to change. So if you're like, Melissa, I see all the signs, but I still love him. Is he going to change? Look at it from an addiction standpoint and ask yourself, does he have what it takes to do the work to change? Is he even aware of it? Because if he's not, then you have your answer. All right, I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I hope you've had a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you're celebrating. I'm thinking of you. Send me messages if you need anything, if you need a one-on-one coaching session. You can look at my packages at gumballove.com under coaching, or you can go to my Instagram bio at the Melissa Ledger, MELISSALEGER, and you can click on the link on the bio and all the packages are there as well. All right, until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more information or to schedule a private coaching session, or better yet, to join the next Back to You Academy, go to gumballove.com. If you loved this podcast, I would love for you to share it with your friends. And if you really loved it, a 5-star review is the best compliment you can give. Remember, you are enough, you are right where you should be, and the only thing you have to do is keep going. I'll leave you with my favorite quote by Henry David Thoreau. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you have imagined. Until next time, I'll see you soon.